Welcome back. My name is Candace Sanderson, and today is the second installment on that psychic skill called channeling. I have named this episode Removing WooWoo, so let me explain. In the first episode, I defined channeling according to what the messengers have shared with me. They taught me that channeling is a way to open, to receive messages and experiences outside the normal 3D lives that we have. But it's something that we do daily. It's not woo woo. We gather inspiration, hyphenate that word in spirit, inspiration, through hints, dreams, songs on the radio, and then sometimes ideas that seem to magically pop into our minds. When I first became aware that I was tapping into an other dimensional space, I was shocked. I knew I was making this stuff up. If you have read my first two books, The Reluctant Messenger and The Reluctant Messenger Returns, I talk about a program that I attended at Monroe Institute in Virginia. The Institute is one of the world's best known places to go to experience a beautiful expansion of awareness, of consciousness. In the Monroe Institute program called Lifeline, we rescue recently departed souls and we help them with their final journey. I cannot think of a more selfless thing to do. But that is not why I went. I went because Lifeline was a prerequisite for another program. My do not care attitude was actually an advantage, although I did not realize it at the time. I was open to anything that occurred. I had no expectations. In fact, I didn't even think there really was a such thing as retrievals. So I just sat back with no performance anxiety whatsoever. This was key. I have learned that channeling and most 5D connections occur when we allow it to occur. It happens when we move our personalities, our egos out of the way. No judgments. Just let what happens happen. That is why our nighttime dreams can be so amazing. We do not stop to judge the content or our actions. Maybe you see a wall in the middle of your dream, and that might represent an interdimensional barrier. But you decide to enter, so you walk straight through that wall. We don't stop and say, hey, that's a wall. I can't walk through walls. No, instead, we go with the flow and we step through the wall without hesitation. No judgment, no barriers. We go with the flow with nothing to stop us. I see life through the lens of energy, frequency, and vibrations, just as Nikola Tesla discussed. When you find a vibrational match, you can ride those energy waves, creating a voyage into some of the most mystical and magical realms. And how does that start? By being open, allowing it to occur. That's what happened with me in Lifeline. Let me give the short version. Monroe Institute uses sound-based technology like binaural beats and several other technologies that have been very well studied, and they are always improving it. But the participant uses headphones to listen to these recordings that are very well guided. I love this. I always say it is the lazy person's way to meditate. Your 3D you, gets out of the way by relaxing. Not sleeping, but you are very relaxed. And in this relaxed state, you allow, there's that allowing again, you allow the sound frequencies, the technology, to do the work. And they will carry you, your energy body, into subtler realms. These realms are often so different from 3D life, especially when you first experience them, that we naturally think we are making this up. So when doubt enters your mind, stop. Take a deep breath. You know you are on the right track. After all, this is new material. Our 3D self searches our data filing system in our brains to try to explain it. And when there's nothing there to explain what we experience, we go into default mode. That default mode for most of us is, I am making this stuff up. It's an error code from our egos. The next time that error message pops up, I want you to stop and realize you are simply adding new information, new data. Take a breath and allow it. Enjoy it. Be in awe of it. You can make sense of it later, so do not judge it negatively. Let it uplift you. Welcome it. That keeps your energy vibrations at a higher level. Let me give an aside here. I've talked about a formula that the messengers have given me, TEA, thoughts, energy, action. The E in TEA is the fuel, the energy to reach that action. And by keeping our energy higher, we're more likely to reach the action that we desire. I will talk about this more in the next episode. Of course, I'm giving good advice, but that is not what I did in Lifeline. This is something that I learned later. In our first exercise, we were told to find someone who had recently passed and to help them finish their final journey on the other side. For some odd reason, I opened my voice recorder on my phone. I hit record. And then I said a man's first and last name. His last name was not an uncommon name, although I don't know anyone by that name. It has 3 syllables. Then I heard Topeka, Kansas, a place I've never been. And then I said into my phone, Jackson. Now, that word, for some reason, I knew was not a family name. I don't know how I knew that, but I just knew it. I was so interested and fascinated with this experience as it happened. I didn't really think I'd connected with someone. That's crazy talk. But when I saw my experience through the lens of pathology, as my training as a psychologist had taught me to do, I looked for what's wrong. So I did. And I marveled how my brain handled new information. By the way, such nonsense, right? Actually getting someone's name and where they lived. In my clinical training, I had learned about this condition. It's called confabulation. When you do not have the data, the experience to understand something novel, something new, your brain invents it. I was fascinated to see this condition play out in real time with me. As soon as this first experience ended, the class met to debrief. As we waited for everyone to gather, I had my phone in my hand. So I Googled the name, added the word obituary, and I put in Topeka, Kansas. I could not believe what I was reading on my phone. There was his death notice. First and last names were correct. So was the city and state. And he was a newcomer. He had passed away 3 months ago to the day. Then I saw the name Jackson. Oh my gosh, I was right. It was not a family name. He lived in Jackson County. He worked at a business that had the name Jackson County in the title. As super cool as these validations were, what I read next took my breath away. This man was a psychologist at a level I was not prepared to understand at the time. I knew that was why we connected. We were both psychologists. Throughout the rest of the week at Lifeline, I retrieved many people, verified and confirmed, sometimes first, middle, and last names. And this process changed me. I realized I was truly communicating with the other side. It was real. I was not making it up. This was not confabulation. The Lifeline program gave me the foundation for my channeling. And within a few weeks of returning home to Florida from that program in Virginia, I began channeling. I recorded the info and documented it each night in a Word doc. In my books, I share many of these messages, all verbatim from the messengers. Over the years, I've learned the following things are important prerequisites for connecting to the other side and bringing back messages. They have certainly worked for me. The first one is trust. That's a big one. Trust what you receive is not from you. You are not making this up. Hold off judging. Let your ego take a break. You can research your findings later, and you should. But let that trust take hold. It plants you firmly in that other dimensional space while also keeping you connected to 3D living. It's like priming the pump. You've got to start somewhere. Start with trust. The next one is allow. Let the energy flow. Step aside and simply observe what you see and hear and feel. Just observe what's happening. Something else that's important is smiling. Smiling keeps your energy frequencies higher. Now, remember, you do not have to be happy to smile. Just that act of smiling creates a flood of hormones that rush through your body to lift your spirit. That's the vibrations, frequencies, and energy in action. Emotion, energy in motion. Keep it positive. The takeaway from this episode is to be open and allow information to flow without judging it. Actually, without any judgment. So it's neither, I know this is not true, nor is it, yippee, I'm channeling. It requires you to maintain a balance that does not throw you back into your body. You want to be positive, that keeps your frequencies higher, yet use balance and don't let that emotion of excitement or disappointment bring you back into the 3D. As a psychologist, I had been trained to be the eyes and ears for others. I was the objective observer. I could watch and listen to interactions and describe those actions to my clients. From there, they made judgments. So do not judge in real time. Instead, be all ears and all eyes. My initial messages came like dictation. I would, air quotes, hear words. They would tell me how to end a sentence, when to start a new paragraph, how to spell and pronounce unfamiliar words. If I made a mistake, I heard strike that, and they would give me the word that was correct, the new word, the new phrase. By recording these messages on my phone, I did not have to pay attention to me as the scribe. I didn't have to work on remembering what was said. I could move more of my awareness into the experience and not worry about having to remember it. Even today, you never see me without a notebook or my phone to record the messages. So this is something important too. If you have something to record on, whether it's vocally or writing it down, that frees up more of your energy to be into the experience. When you are in these experiences, listen, watch, feel. If there is an opportunity, ask questions. How? By thinking the questions. We don't need our 3D voices to ask. Use telepathy. How can I help? Do you know where you are? Are you looking for someone? Is there something you wish to say? What is your name? Etc. This is data that at a later date you can verify. And that, for me, was the foundation for trust. When you start verifying the data, you learn to trust yourself. From there, I started having communications with star beings, with angels. But it all begins with trusting what you receive. Once my channeling began, I collected hundreds of pages of data. And when it came time to verify, Professor Google helped me with that. Just like in Lifeline, names, cities, states, places of business, all that was corroborated by online searches. And that's how it starts, data set by data set, until you become convinced that the information you received is valid. In my first episode in this series, I talked about how normal and frequently we receive information from spirit. These in-spirit communications surround us every day, but we need to take a deep breath and tap into those subtleties. They are usually not in-your-face messages, but instead a slight nudge, a hint, a knowing, an intuitive knowing about something without knowing how we know. My example in Lifeline of knowing is the word Jackson, and that it was not a family name. I had absolutely no idea how I knew that. I just knew it. At the time, I did not trust the information, but luckily I did document it. So jot down your feelings, record them on your phone, whatever way works for you. There is a reason why you thought what you thought when you thought it. The documentation is there in case answers to why you thought what you thought come the next week or even the next month. And by documenting, you have the record of it. If someone you know is in your dream, if possible, reach out to them. You may discover they also dreamed of you. Now, did you notice how I asked that question? If someone you know is in your dream, I did not say if you dream of someone, let them know that, because that wording suggests that you brought them into the dream, which of course you can, but that's for another conversation. Dreaming is a 5D dimensional state where we can and do interact with others, not just people, but star beings, ascended masters, angels, guides, deceased loved ones, ETs. Physics of the earth do not apply in the 5D. We are like fish swimming in an ocean of anything and everything. We see connections because we begin to realize that we are all one. Just like that drop of ocean spray that thinks it's separate until that wave will crest, that tiny drop falls back into the ocean. Yes, home, source. Then, and only then, did it realize it was always ocean. It only felt separate for a bit. Many people separate different psychic skills. Some people can reach into the past and see their past lives or past lives of others. Some can predict probabilities of the future. Some people are energy healers. Some people are mediums, able to connect with people who have passed on. My messengers have taught me to use a larger perspective. Stepping into the 5D allows any or all of these skills to occur. Nikola Tesla said you could find the secrets of the universe through energy, vibrations, and frequencies. How true. When you step beyond the 3D, energy, vibrations, and frequencies guide you. Think about it. When you are in a dream and you wish to go someplace, you can fly like a superhero. That's my favorite mode. You could take a plane, a bus, an automobile. You can just think of your destination and boom, you are there. Instant travel by thought. But here's one of the cool things about being in that 5D environment. You change. When you return, you are different. In the 5D, your senses expand far beyond the limits of their 3D abilities. So expanded that we can travel by thought. We don't think it's weird to do this in dreams. But what if we started waking up in our dreams? With lucidity in dreams, just like in deep meditations or in out-of-body experiences, the more you are there in that 5D state, your energy body becomes acclimated to this new, yet strangely familiar dimension. Energy, frequencies, and vibrations. After all, that 5D is our home. It is our source. This is where we came from before our essence downloaded into our 3D bodies. My messengers tell me that channeling is simply opening a channel to the other side. The messengers might be like those from a medium who communicates with people who passed on. I might get communication from the angelic realm or the realms of light where ascended masters hang out. I might check out the great library that houses the Hall of Records, the Akashic Records, and explore past lives. We can slip into the future and see what might happen. So it does not matter which skill you possess or develop. It's all about connecting that channel from here to there. Once connected, let the energy flow. We have reached a good place to end this episode. So let's take the woo-woo out of channeling and look at it as turning on a valve to allow new information to flow. Next time, we'll discuss something I've talked about before, that is the observer and the POE, point of existence. It's about consciousness and how we can use our observer to travel beyond our body. We'll also talk more about the TEA, Thoughts, Energy, Action formula that you can actually use to increase your connections to the 5D. I want to thank you for joining me today. Check out Gaia TV to catch a glimpse of me on season 2 of Divine Science, episode on channeling. I'm also on The Consciousness Connection, a documentary that is on Gaia and on Amazon. Remember the importance of smiling and being kind. That's how we will change the world, one smile at a time. Until next time, goodbye.